So this is a story about learning to stay in your lane. I sell pro audio gear, just about everybody, and I would sell it to the big radio stations too. And in Philadelphia, WMMR and WYSP, in Pittsburgh, they were my first big radio station, WDVE, and they're a monster station out in Pittsburgh. And I used to, I think the very first time I was selling Pro Tools, I just cold called them and asked them if they were interested in Pro Tools. And they said, oh, yeah, we just don't know who sells it or how it works. And so I spent the whole weekend. I mean, I spent the whole weekend with them going through everything. The not the general manager, I don't know what his title was, but Lou Galzerano was the main guy I dealt with. And then the engineer, the guy who was putting all the spots together, his name is Brian. I forgot his last name. But then after going through a whole weekend, they bought a bunch of units from me. And every time I would go out to Pittsburgh, which was like every 2 weeks or so, I'd stop over and see them and make sure everything was working right. And me and Lou became pretty good friends. We would go out to dinner, we would go out to lunch. I remember he was a big fan of the X-Files, and he invited me to watch the X-Files with his friend at his house, and I went and did that. So I thought we were really, really good friends. And he asked me for some favors, and I did everything I could to make sure he was happy. And we did fine. But this was like early 90s. And at the same time, I was one of my clients was Tom Kiefer from Cinderella, and he had just finished doing his fourth record, and it's I think it's called either Climbing Higher or I think it's called Climbing Higher. And they had Kenny Aronoff play drums on it, and the record is just fantastic. I was there for a lot of the tracking of it because they did it at Cajun in Philadelphia. And when the record came out, I figured, let me ask, because it wasn't sounding as good as it should have. And this is just when all the grunge stuff was coming out there, Nirvana and Soundgarden and those guys, Pearl Jam. So I took it upon myself to call my friend Lou, and I said, hey Lou, could you maybe get Cinderella's new record into rotation somehow over there? And it was like I was speaking Chinese. As soon as I mentioned that, he just shut down right away. And like I said, we had long relationship of dinners, lunches, going out places. He just didn't want to do anything. He didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want to. And I must have stepped on a nerve or did something, but I learned to just stay in my lane, sell pro audio gear, take care of the client, don't ask for favors. And I learned the hard way. Don't do that. And but you would figure you could do you could ask people and they could be just nice and say they can't. But he shut down right away. So the story here is to stay in your lane. If you're selling pro audio gear, sell pro audio gear. Asking favors of clients, it's kind of a big no-no. I've learned not to ask any favors of clients. I mean, sometimes the clients will volunteer, but for the most part, don't put them in that position that they don't want to be in. So there you go. There's my staying in your lane story.